broccoli farmers around this area. Essentially, paraquat is a weed killer that's been shown to to cause Parkinson's disease. Very bad stuff. 3 drops can kill you.
Wow.
So it's intense.
Oh,
but
my
they put it on the crop to wipe everything out so there's no weed and the crops come up.
We're eating food with this stuff on it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So essentially you have to be a licensed applicator. You can't just go and buy this like a Roundup. You can't go to Lowe's and buy this stuff. This is licensed applicators on farms in agricultural areas are using that for their farm. And they're the ones we're looking at to be exposed. And they could have been exposed 20 years ago, and now they're developing Parkinson's. Okay, of course, when you get diagnosed by the doctor, you're doubting yourself. You're like, what could have caused this?
Absolutely.
Is it genetic?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of Parkinson's is genetic, but a lot of it is not. And it could be because you were exposed to paraquat 20 years ago when you were working in the fields around here.
It's crazy they were able to link those two.
Right.
Well, the good thing about paraquat is that it's highly regulated, and so they have scrupulous notes and records of where it was, where they used it, who bought it. All those things are all centralized, so we know really well. It's very similar to mesothelioma when you go back and you start tracing where they worked, because we have these asbestos places that they've kept up with. Same thing with paraquat, highly regulated. So we're constantly digging and figuring out if they were exposed and there's a lot of it, because it takes so long to get this kind of stuff. You're seeing, 20 years ago, like Justin said, the exposure could have been 20 years ago. So we're really backtracking and really deep diving into their histories and where they worked, where they lived, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And speaking on where they lived, this stuff is so toxic. We're looking into cases if you lived in one square mile around a farm where it was applicated.
Yeah.
So we can go back and pull.
Potent.
Yeah, so somebody might say, hey, I've got Parkinson's disease, but I wasn't a farmer. I wasn't in agriculture. What we want to know is, okay, well, let's look into your claim. Did you ever live near one of these application sites? And then we can say, was it within what we think the science will support? Was it within a mile of where it was exposed? And then potentially you would have a claim.
Right.
Now, those won't be as strong a claim, we don't think, but obviously the applicators would be the better cases. But we would still want to look into that for you.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for those trials to be scheduled.
Yeah, it's still early on, but we're about to get those going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on to exec tech knee replacement injuries, pretty much.
Yeah. So
what are those?
Okay, so if you had a knee replacement, okay, and we went through this with the Attune knee failure, the hip cases that we did a few years ago. The new one out has just been recalled by the FDA. 147,000 knee replacement parts were recalled, and that's the Exactech system. So essentially what happened here is, okay, these things are made in sterile environments, in any kind of medical device.
The knee replacement or the Exactech?
The Exactech knee, the Exactech
It's the brand.
part, the knee, the actual knee. Exactech is the brand.
Right, okay.
Okay, so these things are stored in vacuum seals, and then they get shipped to a distribution center. Then they get shipped to, an orthopedics office, and then finally they are implanted in you when you need a knee replacement. Okay, so the problem is all that has to be regulated and controlled because that can change what the final part is that's being put into your body, into your knee. So what happened with these is the actual manufacturer had faulty vacuum seal on on when they're sealing it up to ship it. So oxygen gets in there. And what does oxygen do? The oxygen, germs, everything just starts eating away at the parts, which degrade over time. And then by the time it gets implanted into your knee, you have a faulty knee in you. So
terrible.
There's going to be revisions. You're going to have parts that are going to have to go in there and have more orthopedic scope it out and see what's happening. But they've already been recalled. If you've not already it's very recent. It's happened in February.
Yeah, it says 140,000 recalls.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. And they're going to have revision surgeries because they're going to fail. I mean, normally a knee would last 15 to 20 years. So they're going to tell you, hey, you got a knee replacement. 15 to 20 years from now, you're going to need to get another one. And so now these people who, they got a knee because they already having knee problems. Now they're having knee problems again. They're going to have to go through that second painful surgery earlier on than they were supposed to.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So this one's real early. It literally was just recalled, but we're looking into those cases.
Man, it's
Matter of fact, we went back and started digging through our old files when people called us about knee replacements and they didn't qualify for those to see if they got the Attunes.
Wow.
And not a lot of law firms do that. So please give us a call if you had a knee replacement, you had it looked at before, because it could be in this recall for sure.
Yeah, good tips there. And then there's all these older mesh torts, right? So the hernia mesh, talk about some of those that you still keep an eye on.
So the hernia mesh has been going on for years. We're still taking those cases, and essentially, that involves polypropylene mesh that gets implanted during a hernia surgery. It's the most common surgery in the United States. They use faulty recalled mesh, and then what happens is basically your body's inflammatory response just starts attacking that mesh, and it's just a nightmare. So there's all kinds of different issues. We're still taking those cases. They're still on a trial roster through the BARD, hernia mesh, MDL, and others. But you still have time to get those in.
Okay.
So that's the hernia mesh cases.
Okay. And how
You
about
need to have a revision surgery though. If you didn't have to get, if you just say, hey, I got the mesh, I got a case. No, you don't have a case. You have a case if you had a recalled mesh. So we know it was a faulty mesh because it was recalled, and then you had to undergo a revision surgery to either remove that mesh, or a surgeon says you need a revision surgery, but it's just going to be too dangerous for you.
Yikes.
So either revision or the surgeon says you need it.
Okay.
When life gets ugly, justice is love.